Every time there's an election, which is often, some bright spark on the left comes up with an amazing idea. There are the Tories, right, and Labour, who are trying to stop them. And then there are all these other parties like the SNP, and the Lib Dems, and Caroline Lucas, and the Welsh one. So here's a thought. What if they all clubbed together and just decided to beat the Tories? It's a compelling thought. If you ignore political reality, and you can genuinely imagine Nicola Sturgeon playing Nick Clegg to a Prime Minister Corbyn. If you could get the so-called progressive coalition of Labour, the Lib Dems, the SNP and the Greens to vote in perfect harmony, with all their existing supporters voting tactically in perfect harmony to keep the Tories out in each seat, what would actually happen? Let's start with the 2015 election results. The Tories needed 323 seats to win a majority, and captured 330. To achieve this, they won 11.3 million votes to Labour's 9.3 million. But if you combined Labour's vote with the Lib Dem, Green and SNP votes, a coalition could have beaten the Tories by over 3 million votes. That would surely have kicked Cameron out of power, right? Let's look at the data, courtesy of electoral calculus. Sensitive Guardian readers and committed socialists may want to look away now. I looked at what would happen if every single Green voter switched to Labour last year, and the answer was, not a lot. The Tories would have lost 10 seats and Cameron would still likely have formed a government. You might think the Liberal Democrats would make a bigger impact if every single Lib Dem and Labour voter had coordinated perfectly to inflict the maximum possible damage on Tory prospects. It would still have only swung 32 seats minus 17 to Labour and 15 to the Lib Dems. Places like Lewes, Eastbourne, Colchester, and Portsmouth South would have swung to the Lib Dems, while constituencies like Thurrock, Watford, Telford and Warrington South would have been nudged into Labour's column. That would have left the Tories on 299. But with the Lib Dems now on 23 and Labour still far behind on 249. The likelihood is that the existing coalition government of 2010-15 would have continued. To have any chance of toppling it, the Green, Lib Dem and Labour votes would have had to be perfectly coordinated. This would have reduced the Tories to 286. But with Labour still trailing on 259 seats, a constitutional crisis would have been more likely than Ed Miliband entering number 10. These are of course ridiculous scenarios. Even if it were true that 100% of Lib Dem, Green and SNP voters preferred a Labour government to a Tory one, which is complete nonsense to start with. Getting every single one to vote correctly, or at all, would be impossible. A progressive coalition may have been mathematically possible, just in 2015, but in reality it was totally implausible. Much has changed since 2015, of course. We've had the EU referendum, a shiny new Prime Minister, and 18 months of Jeremy Corbyn scowling on the telly. So are things looking up for the progressive coalition idea? Let's look at some updated figures, and please don't hate me. I'm just doing maths. Electoral Calculus keeps an updated projection of vote tallies on its site. Based on recently polling. Yes, polls aren't perfect. But neither are they particularly inaccurate. The numbers won't be spot on. But they probably won't be miles out minus the basic character is the same either way. At present, the Tories look set to win about 392 seats with Labour crashing to the Hague's total of 170. A perfectly executed Lab forward/Lib pact could reduce that to about 361, handing 25 seats to Labour and 6 to the Lib Dems. If all progressive voters were directed by an all-seeing omnipotent God being to perfectly optimize their vote, then the Tories would land in the 330s. That would still leave them over 100 ahead of Labour on 217, and be enough to form a majority. In summary, even if a progressive coalition made any sort of political sense in a reality where Tim Farron and Nicola Sturgeon would have to prop up a guy who can't even claim a majority of his own MPs, it would require a polling error unlike anything we've ever seen, combined with literally an act of God for it to work. Good luck with that, guys.